DTS. He had asked, what are your thoughts on Ann Taylor using other lawyers as expert witnesses? And as a lawyer, how common is that? That's a good question. Thank you, buddy.
Oh, that's a good question. That is a good question.
Yeah.
So because this genealogy, this DNA, using genealogy to solve crimes is an emerging area, meaning it's something that has not been tried and true tested, throughout the years. There's precedent. I mean, there might be some here and there, but that is, to me, and even in criminal law, I could say this generally, to me, that is like going above and beyond what you have to do, because she could have argued why she needs that information, but she actually put someone on, just like I would put someone on to talk about the standard of care of a doctor, like what they're supposed to do with the patient. She put on an attorney who deals with this, who's had experience in dealing with this genealogy thing. She may not have that experience. So what she did was she educated the judge about why she needs the materials that she's asking for. And so this attorney came on
Okay.
and said the standard, well, in my case, I say standard of care, but in criminal law, there's effective, I think you could, like, if the attorney wasn't competent, or, there's that thing where they get the attorney wasn't competent or whatever.
Yeah.
So what she's doing is she's covering her ass.
Really?
Because this is an emerging area that hasn't been tested,
I did hear something like that. Now,
What?
I did hear something, out in the birdies were like saying something about she was covering her ass for something. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Like, it was brilliant. It was brilliant because, the judge might think, like, I don't need to know what the law is. And she's telling him, you know the law, but here's this emerging area, and here's what is required of me to properly represent Brian. It's not coming from me, because I may not have experience, but it's coming from a lawyer, and he's not licensed in Idaho. So this is a general thing. So when I had these cases that involved the Uniform Anatomical Gift Act, that was a weird thing. I had to do something similar, but yeah. So she put on an attorney to talk about why she needs what she's asking for, and
because she keeps having to ask over and over.
On to educate the judge that they need to have this information in order for us to properly represent Brian. So she put on an attorney, not as a scientific thing, but as the standard of what a criminal defense attorney has to do to defend their client when it comes to this emerging area of tools that they use to catch criminals. So it's an emerging area. It's not something that is standard. It's not like a fingerprint. I mean, people, fingerprint, that's been well established. So that's why she did it. And it is very strange, I will admit, but I get it. And I get why she would do it. And this may be the first time somebody has done it in a criminal case. I don't know that that's the fact, but I haven't seen it. I'd never seen that. The standard of care is with regard to the doctor that did the surgery. They say they should have done this. This is so that was kind of like what it was, is she was educating the judge on what she needs to do to properly represent her client. And it was educational because I don't know. She's talking about that. They're talking about the different databases and what kind of expert witness you would need to analyze this and that. Like, you can't just get anybody. And I know about expert witnesses. You can't just you can't just get anybody, like a geneticist, to talk about these areas. You need to get a specialist. And so if you don't know what specialty or what you need, then it becomes a problem. And if they don't have that information, then they cannot prove up the case.
Hmm. That because when I was going through that live court hearing, I got lost a couple times. I even said it then. I got lost a couple times. I mean, I was going like 7, 8, 9 hours, but I did get lost a couple times in that, and that's when Friday. That's when I'm like, I got to do a deep dive on this witness's testimony, and I got to get all the verbiage and all this stuff. I need to get caught up on it, and so
I don't
that's
know the
why I was
verbiage, but
like,
I do know what the
yeah, I
purpose
was
was.
trying to do it since Saturday. I was trying to, get the DNA and because I really wanted to dig into this witness's testimony after I heard that shit Friday. But now with you mentioning that, I'm going to be looking at it kind of
Mhm.
in a little bit of a different way now. So I
Look at it
appreciate you.
again, and you'll see.
Well,
Rewind. I
I'm
mean, listen
trying.
to it again. Yeah, because he's educating.
Trying.
Yeah, he's educating the judge on what the prosecution needs with regards to this emerging area of tools that they can try to investigate things. So he's educating. He's educating the judge. And so, like in civil, this is unheard of. You don't call witnesses for a motion. In civil, it's all declarations. You get a declaration from your expert. It's not. And this lady that submitted a declaration, the one at the end, that's how civil works. We don't call witnesses for those hearings. We just put declarations. But in criminal, it's more witness. Like when they like a preliminary hearing, they call witnesses. For us, it's a summary judgment motion where it's kind of like a preliminary hearing where they decide whether there's enough evidence. There's enough for the trier of fact to determine the case. And then the burdens are different. So beyond a reasonable doubt, mine is more probable than not. And then there's the
Mhm.
middle one that's clear and convincing evidence. So I can talk about evidence and things like that. The only thing I can't get into is representing clients in criminal court. But I do know that attorney was to educate on what they need to properly, effectively represent their client, and
Hmm.
because it's an emerging area. So yeah, I got it. Yeah. So that was kind of a good move, although people don't understand it. And maybe the judge, I don't know. I think he understood it because he started asking questions of the witness at the end or shortly. I mean, he was asking questions of that attorney, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, that was at the end of my 9 hours. That was my longest stream ever.
Yeah. So she's got good grounds that if something happens, she did everything in her power to make
Huh.
sure that she educated the judge on what she needs and why she needs it, so that if something happens, it's on the record.